Hello, friends. I'm just sitting down today. Today is the 20th of May. It's my sister's birthday, as it happens. But I was sitting down today doing some devotional work, and I felt led to read through the book of Amos. There are certain books in the Bible that I visited less than others, and it's fair to say Amos is one of them. And so, where the book of Amos, we see in these first few chapters where Amos is declaring God's judgment on many nations, including Judah and Israel. And when he comes to chastise Israel, he reminds Israel of the journey that they went on with God back in what we would call the Exodus. And it made me think about that particular story and how God often revisits the story of the Exodus. He continually through Scripture reminds the Israelites of the plagues, of the Passover, of the parting of the Red Sea, and then of course the swallowing up of the Egyptian army. He reminds them of the journey and of the manna and of the quail, of the pillar of cloud by day and fire by night. He reminds them of the time they were at the bottom of Mount Sinai while Moses was receiving the law. He reminds them of, as they went on that journey, the building of the tabernacle, an opportunity, a place where God could reside among his people. And of course, he reminds them of the promised land, Canaan, the land that was promised to Abraham, how they took that. And immediately you remember stories of the Battle of Jericho. And the stories go on and on. And as I think about how God often refers to that when he's talking to the people of either Israel or Judah, it's often in a vein of, don't forget what I can do. Don't underestimate my power. These are the things I've done. Other times, and perhaps this is what I see in Amos, it's a reminder of his power as a warning. These are the things I do. My warning to you is, I will use them against you. Sometimes we see where God uses them as frustration. All these things I did for you, and still you turn away from me. And as I read through this scripture, I was sort of reminded of the fact that God has done a lot of things in my life, and yet how quick I am to forget them. And I think it was just a reminder to me, and something I wanted to share with you, was the fact that very often we can't see the forest for the trees. Right now we're in the midst of this COVID crisis, yet we serve a God who we've praised on many occasions for miracles. We've all testified to miracles of healing that we've seen. I would think that we would have all felt some presence of God, perhaps in a worship experience, perhaps even in just a remote prayer time that we have by ourselves, but to feel the presence of God. We all declare him to be the King and Lord of our lives. That's based on something that he has done. And yes, we could talk about the crucifixion. Yes, we could talk about many of the things that we celebrate. But if we look at it from our own personal standpoint, our experiences with God, we will quickly recognize that we serve a God who is mighty and who is powerful. And so I say to you, in the midst of this coronavirus, and we're so many weeks into it now, it's almost like there's a whole new normal occurred. And perhaps, I don't know about you, but I myself have kind of become into this new sort of routine. And I don't like the fact that I've slipped into this new routine, because some of the urgency of what's going on has been a bit watered down for me. Let us remember that God is faithful. Let us remember that God is powerful, and remembering it based on our own journey and our own personal experience. And allow God to say to you, I'm still the same God. I still have the same power. I still have the same authority. And you are my child, and therefore I will look out for you and I will care for you. Remember God in this difficult time. Remember his power and his authority. And don't allow that memory to be a frustration to him. Don't allow that memory to be used against you to say, for God to say, be warned because of my power. No, instead, remember what God has done for you and believe with all your heart that he will continue to see a way forward. May not be the route we choose, may not be the things that we choose, but at the end of the day, God is faithful. And we will look back at this time, if we are faithful to him, and see his hand throughout it all. God bless you, friends. I do look forward to the day we can get back together and work together. But in the meantime, I just pray God's blessing upon you. Bye-bye.